everybody, it's Minzy and welcome back to my channel. I actually sat down and decided to watch The Princess and the Frog, and I kind of realized something about myself. Besides me being able to relate to this movie, I like to apparently mentally torture myself. I came in from Princess and the Frog. I started watching the movie thinking that I would have the same hatred towards this movie that I used to have when I was younger. And even when I was younger, I used to see glimpses of this movie. I didn't really see the whole thing. I fell asleep on it. And I figured it was like, oh, it's just going to be a horrible story, you know? And my mindset has since changed from that. It's gone from I hate Tiana to who is really to actually blame for her story ending up like this? Because I feel like when it comes to Princess and the Frog, there are a lot of complaints about Tiana's story, in which I understand the complaints, you know. I've heard them of struggle love, Naveen is horrible, you know, it's a typical story, you're telling black women to settle, yada yada yada. And I'm not going to sit here and say that they're wrong. I actually do agree to some extent. But I have to ask, are we going to sit here and act like this doesn't happen in the black community though? I think this is the part that gets me, because when I look at Tiana's story, there's not much that I can say about her story that's like, oh, well, you know what? This is, y'all are being dramatic, you know? Or that's being stereotypical. Every character in this story is a real person. Every character in that story is literally a real person, and it makes literally no sense to me whatsoever. Like, all the way down to her circumstances and what she struggles with as a person. All of that is real in the black community. We do that to each other. So here's my issue. Because watching The Princess and the Frog, I feel like this is you know what, Disney? Okay, you gave me a realistic black princess. It was not what I was looking for. Now I want the fanciful one. That's what I'm going for with Disney. That's my thing. Because I can't get mad at a girl who has a dream, but I can get mad at the dream. And see, here's the issue. The movie actually started off okay, you know. I don't know why they picked this time where it looks like we're in Louisiana and it's like shortly after slavery, maybe like Jim Crow era or something. I don't know why they thought this was a great time to, like, let's make a Disney princess, you know? But moving on, we can talk about Tiana's parents, and I do like the fact that she has both parents in the beginning. Now we know the dad goes and he ends up dying in the war. So he ends up dying, but he was actually a good parent, both him and his wife. And they actually did pay attention to Tiana. But, here was the issue, because black people do this a lot. Anytime they see a kid with a talent, they assume that that talent is supposed to be the kid's dream, you know? And I feel like this is what happened to Tiana in the beginning, where she had a knack for cooking, and she was good at cooking. However, having a talent for something does not mean that this is supposed to be what you're supposed to do for the rest of your life. But again, black people, we love to do that, where, oh, my kid is good at football, so you're supposed to be a football player. And I'm going to tell you, until you get to an age where you can decide for yourself that you're supposed to be a football player, even though, like, he's probably supposed to be a doctor, actually, you know? But I feel like with Tiana, this was like an accidental version of what I just described. Her father died, so I feel like her father's death kind of spurred her into having a restaurant and wanting to cook and everything. And I'm not saying that there's not a moment where she could actually legitimately want to, like, own a restaurant and everything. But I feel like with her dad's sudden death, And I feel like with her constantly working, she hasn't really had time to like cope with her feelings on that. So, growing up, this whole dream of having a restaurant and everything, it's funny because she doesn't say it's my dream. She says it's our dream. You know, like her and her dad. I'm like, honey, your dad is. Anyways, you guys know what I mean. Your dad is literally not here anymore. How is this still our dream, you know? So I feel like it's like I sat back and I watched this and I couldn't help but to think, and it's like, did she even sit down and think about if she really wanted to do this, or is this just something that she just placed on herself to please her dad type situation? Because women will do that, black women will do that. So it's like I'm not shocked. And the fact that she says this later in the movie and she's like, is this really what I want to do? I was like, see, you've been so busy working that you haven't even had time to sit down and think about what you really want to do in your life. That's my first problem with Princess and the Frog. Okay, but it's a realistic problem that happens in the black community, so can I really get mad? No. Moving on. Okay, Naveen, okay, bad introduction, very bad introduction. Comes in as a rich playboy. Good job, Disney. I mean, I'm just saying, like, did they do any other prince that way? Everybody else had a good rap sheet, and then there's Naveen, you know? And actually, I'm not going to say everybody had a good rap sheet. I'm so sorry. I'm going to take that back. Somewhere between Beauty and the Beast, whatever the heck that was supposed to be, and Aladdin, the street rat over here that wanted to lie about everything. My bad. I forgot about these two. So they added a third piece of trash into the Disney Prince category, and that's going to be Naveen. The playboy and the nepotism baby that got cut off from his parents. So he doesn't know how to do anything except flirt and play music and also flirt. I mentioned flirting, right? Making sure. But this is supposed to be our male league and the romance league. I hate it. But at the same time, are we gonna act like this doesn't happen? I think this is my issue. This is my issue. I feel like the writers of Princess and the Frog actually did pay attention to black people. However, they paid too close attention. I feel like Princess and the Frog is a movie that we don't want to admit to. We don't want to admit that we actually do this. Okay? So we would rather say, oh, you are trying to make black women settle and this, that, and the other, but this is usually the story in your own community. The disregard for Tiana throughout the entire freaking movie is absolutely insane from what I've seen. But again, that happens in the black community. I mean, you guys, what do you want from me? You want me to tear this movie apart? Because I can't. I can't. Everything in here is realistic. In fact, it's too realistic. Even all the way down to the sad version of the villain. I do not remember his name. He is not very memorable to me. But the witch doctor dude, which I think is really funny because he is an old, unattractive, washed up, black person, older. He does look a lot older, who likes to prey on people who are young and naive and basically innocent. And see, it's like we can look at other Disney movies and, they have a thing about old people being evil. But looking at Princess and the Frog, the way he carries himself, he is rude, he's constantly trying to take advantage of people, he is introducing people to witchcraft and setting them up and trying to establish a whole status for himself based off of witchcraft. Okay? I can't help but to look and be like, so you guys, I know a whole sector on YouTube of a bunch of old pathetic black people who use witchcraft in this way. Okay, so yeah, you hit the nail on the head again. I can't say that they don't do that. I can't say that black people don't do that. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And of course, we're in Louisiana, so it's going to be all of this voodoo stuff. And this is one of the main reasons, especially, why I cannot show Tiana, the Princess and the Frog. I can't show this to my future daughter because it's literally laced with so much dang witchcraft. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Okay? From the demonic shadows to all of the demonic mask, and oh, there's the voodoo dolls and the tarot cards, and there was a lot. Okay? It was a lot in there. And it's like, I feel like if black people wanted to have anything to get mad at when it comes to this movie, it would be the blatant witchcraft that was just thrown into this. And it's like, they used your second, because she's not your first, they used your second black princess to just throw all of this witchcraft into the faces of millions of kids. And I know some people think, oh, this is culture and this is ancestry and we shouldn't be ashamed, blah blah blah. It's witchcraft, okay? So it's like, you literally used a minority princess to introduce a big hunk of witchcraft to a bunch of other kids. I can hit you on that. That's exactly what Disney did, okay? Moving on, though, we can talk about how they, both Naveen and Tiana, became frogs. First of all, I feel like this movie has a more mature tone than the others, okay? There's two things I noticed. One is going to be the danger. Has anyone noticed how ridiculous it was? Like, I know there's usually like a chase scene in a Disney movie, like if they're in the wilderness somewhere, there's always a chase scene to get away from a predator. Why does this look so deadly though? And some people will be like, I mean, it's always looked deadly. No, we can go through Emperor's New Groove. They're going through what I think is probably like the Amazon. It looks like the Amazon jungle type situation. Why does their stuff look less tense than Tiana and Naveen in the bayou? And I'm not saying the bayou is not dangerous, because I'm pretty sure it is, but I feel like the Amazon is like 10 times worse than the bayou. So going over what I saw, it just, I don't know, it just felt like they were in so much more danger, and I'm just like, I don't know why is that there? It takes me back to Winx Club. I think her name was Aisha, where we live in the world of magic, okay, supposedly, and she's got like all of her other friends had like inconvenient things happen to them. She's the only one that had like, oh, her boyfriend legitimately died, you know, or oh, well, she lost her vision, she was temporarily blind. Like, Aisha ended up getting like the worst traits of like magical attacks for some reason, and I'm just like, okay, this is racist. This is racist. Like, Stella gets turned into like an alligator or something, and then Aisha, oh, she lost her eyesight. She has to travel through this half this journey without any way to see, you know, and she still has to fight, by the way, you know. It was just like, what the heck? I don't even want to talk about her kingdom that is basically a prison for some of the most powerful wizards and evil people in the world. That is her freaking kingdom. I was like, this is bull right here. I feel like Tiana is like on that same route, in all honesty, where Tiana, in her story, the danger is absolutely ridiculous to me. Another part that gets me is going to be the sexual aspect of Princess and the Frog. Princess and the Frog is weird to me, okay? I understand it's a princess who meets a frog. The frog is like, I'm a prince. If you kiss me, I become a prince, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but do we need all of this perverted freaking stuff in there? Like, throughout the whole movie, you have Naveen, and I understand he's a playboy, but my gosh, you didn't really have to do it like this. You know, you could have gave him some stupid moments and we could have been fine. Any chance that Naveen got, he was trying to make moves on Tiana. There was one part where they both got hungry and they saw a bug and they were like going after the bug. And both of them like shot their tongues out, in which like it was kind of Tiana did hers by accident, but both of them shot their tongues up and then they connected. So then it goes back somehow, some way, their tongues are wrapped all around each other's bodies and all this stuff, and I'm just like, The level of forced intimacy I have not seen in any other Disney movie. Okay? And yeah, that does insult me actually. There was no type of intimacy on that level in any other Disney movie that I can actually think of. And I feel like that says a lot, you know? Because it's like, how many times have we seen a prince and a princess together and they both love each other? Have you ever seen it like this? And even if it's like, okay, so when they first meet, it's funny because it's like a romantic moment, and then there's distance and there's boundaries. This is not that. They didn't have that at all. Shortly before they get entangled with each other's freaking tongues, they were fighting in the air with balloons, okay? Like, they were hanging onto balloons, arguing, with Naveen accusing Tiana of lying to him because he thought she was a princess. Like, he literally assumed this. And Tiana said it, like, you never asked me if I was a princess. And he was like, well, you were standing on the balcony like you were a princess. And he just started, like, literally blaming her for everything. And it's like, now let's not forget how Naveen turned into a frog in the first place. You listened to the Shadow Man, okay? And in your naiveness, you ended up getting yourself turned into a frog. That is your fault. That has nothing to do with Tiana. You literally dragged Tiana into your situation and then you want to blame her for it. And as infuriating as that was to watch, I can't sit here and act like black men don't do stuff like that. Or black women. Black people do crap like that. So I can't sit there and say this is wrong. Other than, of course, it's morally wrong. But is it accurate? Yes. Is it wrong? Yes. Makes sense? Moving on. We're in the bayou and we meet the alligator. I don't know his name. Yeah, I know he's annoying. He likes jazz and he's like really annoying. We meet the alligator, and the thing about this alligator is that he is just so freaking lazy and selfish. First of all, let's talk about the men in this movie, or the male figures in this movie. There's only 3 good ones, okay? 3. And it's going to be Tiana's father, Lottie's father, and then there is Ray, the firefly. Everybody else is trash, okay? Not trying to be mean, but I know what I saw. There's only 3 good men in this movie, and 1 died in the war, so technically it's 2. Oh, I'm sorry, wait. Another one dies at the end, so technically it's 1. You're reduced to really 1 good person that's a man in this movie. Everybody else, when it comes to this movie, basically just, they're men, but I mean, it's not worth anything. The guys that Tiana knows, like at her job, there's like a cook who loves to tease her about her owning a restaurant, and he's like, you're never going to be able to get a restaurant and this, that, and the other. And I'm not going to sit here, again, he's a prick. But this is true. Like, as someone who has worked in the food industry, I can tell you about how many disrespectful black men are back there. The saddest thing about this moment is that I realized that this sad caricature of black men in the kitchen, this is the nicest version I've seen. It gets worse than that. If you work as a server in the kitchen, they will either, I've had it where black men have tried to fight me, try to argue me down, don't want to cook food, you know, they don't want to do their job. It's stupid stuff like that. So I can't sit here and say they made that up. They didn't. I don't know how they got that information, but they didn't make that up. Okay? You have Tiana's sad version of friends who, they were going to a party and they invited her. And she was like, basically, you know, I have to work, I have a double shift and all this stuff. And they're like, see, I told you she wasn't going to come and all this stuff. And it's like, it's just, I don't know. It's just such, and I'll say it, it's such shitty characters in this movie. I don't understand. But, again, it's true. It's so true. And I think that's the thing that I hate about Princess and the Frog. Most of this crap in here is true. It's too realistic, Disney. Okay? I don't need to be reminded of the annoyance of my life. I think that's the main issue. I'll say it. I'll say it, and I'll say it honestly. It reminds me of what I have to go through as a black woman. That is not what I wanted to see. Disney. Okay? That is not what I wanted to see. But no, going through the story, it was a very awkward love story. I think, okay, to me, the story was so weird that it felt like it got disjointed at times. Like, we would be stuck in the bayou watching Naveen and Tiana as they conversate, and okay, so we know Naveen's trash, you know, but what do we expect from a nepotism baby? I'm gonna tell you something, okay? Within the past year, I have met I've met about 4 nepotism babies. They all act like him, to some degree. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say all of them are promiscuous, but most of them are kind of on the verge of useless. And I don't blame the babies, because you were raised this way. I blame your parents, okay? Your parents should have taught you better. Like, first of all, I do have an issue with Naveen's parents. How are you going to sit here and kick this guy out the will, basically? You strip him of his money. This is all he's ever known his entire life. And you tell him basically he has to go get a job, or you're going to need to go basically be a sugar baby to a cougar or something along those lines. You know, you gotta go marry a rich girl, or you gotta go get a job. And it's like, first of all, your kid has no experience doing anything. That actually is not Naveen's fault. That is your fault. You didn't teach your kid anything. So you can't get mad at them for them ended up being useless. It annoys me. It annoys me so much when I meet parents, or when I hear about parents who are like, oh, my kid is useless and this, that, and the other, but you raised them to be useless. That's your fault. Take responsibility, okay? But yes, so you have that situation happen, in which, again, it's true. I don't know, looking at Princess and the Frog, it's like, is this really a Disney movie? Or is this like, I can see this more for Pixar faster than Disney, okay? And it's just like, looking at all these problems, because, again, you have the gator, the lazy jazz playing gator, who doesn't know his way around but wants to act like he knows where he's going, mostly because he wants to live his dream of being a jazz player. You know, like he literally took their story and tried to just like insert himself in it, and then didn't even know where to go. Thank God for Ray, who shows up, and he is like the dragonfly. And I felt like the story started getting better when Ray showed up, because a lot of people actually don't like Ray. You know, he's like the annoying Firefly character, but I'm gonna be honest, I'd rather deal with him than the gator. At least I'll get to where I'm supposed to go, you know? And at least Ray won't lie to me. Throughout the movie, I feel like Ray was a supportive character. And it's kind of sad, because you know what? Ray, he was talking, and he has an accent. He's Cajun. I believe he said he's Cajun. And it's funny because, you know, despite the fact that Ray, like, yeah, he's like, you're Bayou, you're just, like, born Bayou, you know? The interesting thing about Ray is that he supported literally every character in every part of their story, okay? He was sitting there plucking off maybe thistles, I guess, off of the gator when he fell into a bush. Literally, he jumped in a bush to get away from hunters. The hunters that show up, they're like the Three Stooges, but they're like the Bayou version of the Three Stooges. Show up, and they actually capture both Tiana and Naveen, you know, in their frog forms for a sec. And you had Ray, the little firefly with a big butt. The little firefly literally is going, and it's like, he's a good one, because I don't know if I would have been able to do that. He literally shot himself up somebody's nose just to distract them long enough for one of the frogs, and I think it was Naveen, to get out of the trap. So Like, he literally, like, Ray is the first one to throw himself into danger. And this is where I relate to Ray. Because I remember when I used to be like that. When I was younger, I used to just jump into situations. Like, if my friends are in trouble, I would just, like, jump in and do my best to help. And usually I can get the job done because I'm like scarily strong. But, like, there was one instance, and I'll keep it short. There was one instance where I had a friend who, like, really liked this guy, but he was, like, really abusive. In order for me to make sure she came back, I literally jumped in the trunk, like, inside of the car trunk, just to keep her safe. It was, like, I feel like Ray has that same level of loyalty, like, extremely loyal, absolutely. But throughout the movie, you can see Ray support everybody emotionally, physically, to the point where he ends up losing his own life. So going back to the sad villain, and is he really a villain, or he's an evil man turned puppet, in all honesty? Because at this point in his life, he's already sold his soul to these demonic entities that he runs around with, basically. So Naveen goes missing, and he had this little voodoo necklace that would, like, take blood from the prince. The prince also had, like, a hand servant. He had a manservant, basically, who followed him around, and that manservant was, like, did not like him, just really tolerated him. And again, it's like, I feel like this one actually happens in all cultures, as most of the things I've named happen in all cultures. But I feel like this is a prevalent thing in the black community, where we have these hidden friends, where it's like, oh, okay, I think you like me, and truth is, you could care less about me, and you wouldn't mind killing me. Like, I don't know why that is such a thing. It's actually kind of scary. But, his, servant that he had basically tried to be him. Oh, the day I get to talk about my life, you guys. But, basically, his servant wore a necklace with his blood in it, so it could turn him into him. So he tried to marry Tiana's friend, Lottie. In which, I forgot, let me talk about Lottie real quick. First of all, Lottie is one of the best characters in this movie. I really don't care what black women have to say about Lottie. I understand that she can be an airhead, and sometimes she's a bit selfish. But she knows how to support her friends. We can't sit there and knock that. When Tiana was getting ready, like when she asked her to make beignets for her party, she was so quick to give her money. It wasn't even, and I know some people are like, well, it wasn't even her money. It may not have been her money, but she did not hesitate in giving Tiana enough money to feed people, like 500 people with beignets, you know? She wasn't one of those people like, oh, Tiana, I love your beignets so much. Could you just whip up 500? That shouldn't be a problem, right? See you at the party, bye. She didn't do all that. She gave her money, and it was enough for her to get her restaurant, you know, until people wanted to be stupid about it because she's black, whatever. But, you know, no, she still supported her friend. And throughout the movie, she gets the girl a dress. She tries to, like, at the end, she tries to, like, kiss Naveen. She kissed Naveen several times in frog form just to turn them both back into being humans. The issue is, it was just simply too late, but I gotta give it to Lottie. She tried. She even stood out of the way when these two fell in love with each other. She was like, I'm not gonna get involved. Like, I like Lottie. I like Lottie, okay? That's what a friend is supposed to be, okay? Some women, you need to take notes. That's what friends do. But, but yes, just going back to the sad villain over here. He does act like a lot of ignorant black men that I know, though. When they get mocked, or when you say something about what they really are, like if they're just these poor, pathetic freaking men, they're quick to get mad. And I'm not saying that's not a normal reaction, because it is. But it's funny because you have the audacity to get mad when someone calls you out and basically says that you're a charlatan or that you're a fraud or something along those lines. But you don't have enough zeal to get up and get a job and change that. You just want to continue to be a charlatan and a demonic puppet. Okay, You know, I feel like if someone calls you out, then you shouldn't even get mad. Because he was like, don't look down on me. No, sir. You can't be screaming that from the bottom of a ditch. I'm just saying, figuratively, you're in a ditch, looking up at everybody else, shaking your fist at them, mad that they're not in the ditch that you threw yourself in. That is your fault. I know a lot of people, and I can point them out on the internet. There are a lot of people, especially old people, old black people, who have thrown themselves into ditches and then expect to be respected. There's nothing to respect. If you voluntarily threw yourself in a ditch, you don't deserve respect. Get off of that. It's weird. Get off of it. This was not supposed to be a rant. It really wasn't. It wasn't. I was saying that The Princess and the Frog is right, and it is realistic, and at this point, we really don't have a right to actually get mad about it. But see, I feel like with each character, there's kind of like a warning there, you know? Like, if we're talking, and we're still talking, about the villain, I feel like the villain is a good warning to the black community, because recently, the black community has been going into witchcraft, and they've been abandoning the church to go into like voodoo and hoodoo and why would you and all of whatever else they want to do. And I feel like these are religions, or these are spiritual practices that take advantage of innocent people. And the interesting thing about this villain is that he is constantly attacking innocent people in here. And I know people are like, well, yeah, he's a villain. But see, here's the thing. You use spirits to go after people. And the thing about it is, I feel like a lot of the people who do this, because this is a thing where you can meet demonic people who want to like attack you using spirits and stuff, they think that when they attack, they're in a line, and they think as long as I keep moving, then I'll never get caught, you know? And they don't understand that, honey, you're not traveling in a line, you're traveling in a circle. That circle ends right where it started, with you. So, of course, at the end of the movie, he ends up dead. In which I couldn't help but to laugh. I couldn't help but to laugh. It was perfect. I'm so glad he was killed by his own demons that he loved to worship. Good. Beautiful. It's one of the best parts of the movie. I was rooting for that. But I feel like that was a warning to people who like to take advantage of other people. Please don't act like you won't get got. Please don't act like there isn't such a thing as sowing and reaping, because that's all that was. And it's funny because Tiana kind of alluded to that. You get out what you put in, and she literally says that. That's one of her quotes in the movie. But I actually do love that Tiana is like a hardworking woman, because her parents didn't lie to her there, especially in Jim Crow era. You're not going to be given anything. Everything you get, you're going to have to be like working your butt off for it. So they didn't lie to her. This is just not the movie that we asked for, Disney. I think that's the issue. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and say that the characters were bad, besides like the horrible men characters in this. They were bad. I can't defend that, other than it is realistic, it is accurate, but I still did not need to see them. I did not need to be reminded of their presence, trust me. Just saying, Disney, just saying. But, Tiana, straight shooter, hard worker, too hard of a worker. The girl does not know how to relax. And I know Naveen says this, and it's a lot coming from him because he's like absolutely lazy. These two are completely different. Looking at this movie, there was one part where you had Mama Odie, I think that's her name. She is the voodoo witch that is supposed to basically take the form of, I guess, a fairy godmother. We couldn't afford a fairy godmother, so we got a voodoo witch, apparently. She's the good one. Don't worry. Maybe she does hoodoo instead of voodoo. I don't know. But, we have to deal with her. And I actually do not really like Mama Odie. To me, she just doesn't focus enough. She's kind of everywhere. And I understand that she's like, did she say she's 192? She's 192 and she's blind. And it's like, I'm weird, okay? I didn't like Mama Odie, but I did like her snake. Her snake is like the sweetest snake ever, okay? That snake is so supportive of her for some reason. I love that snake. I don't know if that snake has a name, but that snake is amazing. Constantly helping her, even at its own expense. That's a good friggin' snake, okay? Props to that snake. But no, looking at Mama Odie, it's weird. She is blind. She really can't focus too well. And she does this thing. That black women do, where they love to tell you what you need instead of listening. They're gonna tell you, do you know what you need? I'll tell you what you need. She's kind of that one. She's like, find out, dig a little deeper. And they did like a whole song about digging deeper to find out what you need. And I feel like it worked for some, and then it didn't work for others. And that is kind of how the story went. Because in that moment, Naveen kind of realized that he actually did like Tiana. And in that moment, Tiana was like, I need to work even harder. And it's like, Tiana, you are literally 2 steps away from working yourself to death. Please, girl, no. Okay? That's just like, she didn't realize in that moment when they had that whole song that maybe this isn't even her dream. It took the whole boat ride back to the city for her to stop and think, is like, is this what I really want? Well, I would hope so. We've gone through a lot for this dang restaurant, you know? Like, honey, we're almost at the end of the movie. And it's like, Naveen starts getting serious now, you know? After they spent some time in the bayou and now they're on the boat, he's starting to see, you know what? I am a problem. I do need to do better. And you know what? I do want to support Tiana. I love Tiana. I'm going to propose to Tiana. I was like, okay, I don't mind that turnaround. And at least you're changing. Cool, you know? So he sets up this whole situation, which was really fast, actually. Sets up this whole situation. He's about to propose to Tiana. But literally, Tiana kind of like talks herself out of proposal. And she didn't do it purposely, but literally, I feel like this is something that happens where some women, and I've seen other races of women do this, but it's like some women get so stuck on their dreams, their careers, that they kind of just miss out on love. Now, and some people be like, well, it's good because Naveen wasn't that great. Naveen was not the best catch, I admit. But literally, the girl didn't even realize that she was about to get proposed to because she was so focused on this restaurant and having the money and everything. Like, she literally almost lost her proposal. And I've never seen anything like that in Disney. You know, like that proposal, that wedding, it's happening. There's never been a maybe. And the fact that they put a maybe in Princess and the Frog, that kind of does irk me a little bit. Even though it could be true, it irks me. Not gonna lie, Disney, that part does irk me. Moving on. We get back to the demonic shadows. See, they're so easy to forget because I'm stuck looking at Tiana and Naveen kind of like awkwardly get close to each other. And every now and then in the movie, you get reminded that, oh, they're being hunted by the demonic spirits. I forgot, you know? And I feel like, with the way I just said that, I should remember that, you know? Like, oh, by the way, they're being hunted by a bunch of demonic shadows that happily want to kill them. Yeah, it actually, like, completely, like, missed me. Anyways, we end up getting off the boat into, like, it looks like a Mardi Gras parade. And Lottie is about to get married to the fake version of Prince Naveen. You know, like his servant from earlier. Basically his servant from earlier. And it's kind of interesting because I feel like this shows the differentiation between Ray and the Gator. Okay? The gator goes and runs off and starts like playing with the other band people because they assume that he's like a guy in a gator suit when again he's actually like a legitimate gator. But he leaves them like no looking back, no hesitation or anything. He runs into the parade and starts like playing on one of the floats and everything. So he's gone. He's up there. Tiana and Naveen are hopping through the crowd at the moment. And actually, I'm sorry, Naveen is not there because he basically got snatched up by the demonic entities. And and Tiana is a little lost because she sees the fake Naveen and she thinks, of course, it's him. So she feels betrayed and she kind of hops away. Ray follows her and he's like, well, maybe we don't know what's going on. Maybe we should investigate more and all this stuff. And Tiana just was not having it. And Tiana does something that a lot of black people like to do when they're hurt. They like to hurt other people. And while Ray is like, we should go back and we should check and we should something's off, in which he was absolutely right. Something was very off with that whole thing. Tiana's like, he was talking about his love, Evangeline, which is like looked like basically the North Star, okay? And Tiana turns to him and she's like, Evangeline isn't even real. Evangeline is a pile of hot gas in the sky. Go ahead and basically accept this before you hurt yourself. And it's just like, look, Tiana, I know that you're hurt, but that was unnecessary. Okay? Throughout the movie, he stays talking about this Evangeline, which is a star. Okay? It's a star. And he has clearly been in love with that star for a good few years. Do not wreck this man's dream because you just got your heart hurt. Like, come, yeah. But we do that. We do that. Yes, we do. You get hurt or you get scarred or traumatized in some way, and then you want to sit there and try to hurt someone else who has nothing to do with the situation, and it's oftentimes trying to help you. That's what she did. So it's like she hops away, and as he did go back to the parade. And the thing about him going back to the parade is that he found Naveen locked in a chest next to on the marriage float. And he actually freed Naveen, despite the fact that Tiana just basically wrecked the dream for him. He freed Naveen and basically stopped this wedding that was about to happen between his manservant and Lottie. So he literally just saved about probably like 3 people in one go. So, going from that, Ray rushes back to the cemetery where Tiana is. And the spirits, for some reason, they're after her. I don't know why they're after her. Yeah, because Naveen was not over there at the time. He was fighting. So, yeah, they're after her for some reason. And the spirits start gathering. And Ray, because he's a lightning bug, is able to fight off these spirits. He used all of his strength to fight these spirits, and he was good at it too. I'll give it to Ray. Good job, Ray. Okay? But then we have something that happens to him that's just absolutely horrible. Of course, he's just a firefly. So, the evil doctor dude, he shows up, flings him into a cemetery stone, basically crushes him against the wall, and he falls. And Ray seems like a pretty strong bug, so I feel like he was gonna get up after that until the villain literally steps on him. And this is the beginning of Ray's death. And this pissed me off. This pissed me off so much, because it's like, you're literally killing off innocent people just to have your way, your demonic freaking way. Can't sit there and act like I have not seen that in the black community, so keep going, even though it's freaking annoying. The gator finally comes to his senses and realizes that he's not doing his job as a friend, okay? And he gets out of the parade. He roars and scares people away, so he gets out of the parade, and somehow, some way, he's heading straight to the cemetery. I don't know why he's heading to the cemetery. Wait, he might have seen, I think he might have seen some spirits go that way, so he went that way too. That might have been it. I don't quite remember. But he starts heading to the cemetery, and then he finds Ray dying. Still dying, you know. And it's like, you know, if you would have done your job, this probably wouldn't have happened. I'm just saying, this probably wouldn't have happened if you would have done your job, Gator. You know? But yes. We get to the part where there's Lottie. Lottie and Naveen are sitting down by the time, like, Tiana finally breaks the necklace, the evil necklace with Naveen's blood in it. And this is where we see the villain's death. After that death happens, she's hopping back into the city, and Naveen is explaining to Lottie basically that you need to kiss me so then we can be human again and all this stuff. And Lottie's like, this is a lot to take in. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to do what now? You know, time is running out. And by the time Lottie finally understands what she's supposed to do, is literally too late. You know? She tried though, but again, too late. So, apparently they basically are stuck as frogs for the moment. The Gator comes and he's bringing Ray's body. And he's basically like, you know, Ray's basically on his way out. And Ray is told that they're going to stay frogs and that they're in love and everything. And he was like, well, I'm happy you guys kind of found each other. I was like, see, Ray being supportive to the very end. His last few breaths are basically congratulations, Tiana and Naveen. And he dies. But I will say the one thing about his death that was good was that he becomes a star in the sky right next to Evangeline. Okay, I'll give you that, Disney. Thank you for that little Disney magic. I'll take it, okay? But I did notice something as well. Ray's death. Do you guys remember any other princess animal friend that ended up dead? Now, I understand people have been hurt or they've been grabbed by the villain, but I don't think anyone actually died. This is what I'm talking about. Like, what is this level of, like, matureness and, like, when it comes to that, it's, like, also, like, with the sex, too. Why is that in Princess and the Frog? It's just unnecessary. But I look at, this movie, because in the end, they get married, so technically that makes Tiana a princess. So they turn back into humans. And then, it's like, they kiss once, and it's like, okay, fine, whatever, you know? And then they kiss again, and it's kind of like this, like, again, I just feel like it's too mature for a Disney movie. We see Tiana get her restaurant, and it's basically like the Gator actually does something right, I guess, and he scares the two people who are ripping Tiana off in the beginning into basically giving her the restaurant that she deserves. So Naveen finally steps up as a man and starts helping. Like, he starts helping build her restaurant, and they actually get something going. Now, she's a princess, but she owns a restaurant. I don't know, that bothers me. That bothers me. And I guess they're like, well, that's her dream. And it's just like, you're a princess. And it's like, I know she's hardworking, but she is. Could there have been another way to do that? I don't know. I feel like if I write this out, I could have found a better way that wasn't so, I'm a princess, but now I could be a chef of the city. And it's like, okay, hun. You know, like, all right. I mean, she always wanted to be there, you know? So, okay. But yes. It's like, I see the movie and it's like, it's an accurate representation Disney. But it does not have the Disney magic in it. Not to the extent of the others. And I feel like this is where Princess and the Frog fails. Okay? And it was disappointing. Because, again, I was reminded thoroughly of my life. I saw a lot of qualities in Tiana that I have had to pick up. She was a waitress for not one but two places. She traveled by bus. She didn't have enough for a car. She is constantly working, not very social due to the fact that she's always working towards her dream, etc., etc. I can't sit here and act like I've never lived that life. I've lived that life before, and it is very taxing on your body and on your mind and emotionally. Eventually, all this stuff catches up, and you're just like, what am I doing with my life? Because all I do is go to work, sleep 3 hours, and then go back to work. You know, like, you sit down and you think about it, and you're like, it's like I live to work. And the fact that that was Tiana's tale, that's the issue. That's the big issue. And again, unlike the other black women, am I mad with Tiana's story? No. But Disney, I feel like you do owe me though. So you gave me a realistic princess of my life. Okay, fine. I'll take Tiana. Fine. But now you need to give me a whimsical, fanciful princess. I need a whimsical, fanciful black princess now, okay? Because you actually did okay with Kita, and I'll talk about Kita and Ariel later. But right now, my focus is Tiana. You gave me a realistic princess. Okay, thank you. Thank you for letting me know this is my life. You know, I might have forgotten, so thank you for reminding me. Okay, I want the whim now. I'm just saying, I want that Disney sparkle, that Disney glow. Like, I want that Tinkerbell. I want the Cinderella, you know? And I understand that there is oppression in like all these other Disney stories. But there's also fantasy. And that's where you failed Disney when it comes to Tiana. You didn't have the fantasy part. That's the main issue here, okay? I feel like that's the part that a lot of black people don't really want to say, but I'm gonna say it. It wasn't fanciful. It was real life, and we didn't want to see it. We didn't want to admit to the fact that this is our community, and this is our life, and this is how we are treated by black men and black women and society. We don't want to admit to that. We don't want to see it. We don't want to show it to our daughters. We want to actually give them a dream, because even when you look at the beginning of the movie, you can see Lottie and then you can see Tiana. When they're reading a book, I feel like they were reading Princess and the Frog, and you could see the reactions from the two of them, where one has enough privilege to dream and the other one is just like, she's so realistic at age 5. The girl is so deprived of enjoyment in life that she can't even dream. That was the first problem. And again, it's not like that doesn't happen. It happens, and I think it's very common in the black community that happens. There's the issue with Tiana. Okay? I watched her. I related to her. I relate to that girl too much. Okay? I relate to her too much. I want my whimsical one that makes me escape. Because all the other Disney princesses help me escape. Ariel, I can never be Ariel. She's a mermaid, you know? And I look at her story, well, actually, you know what? When I talk about my life, I'm gonna put it in the form of Disney princesses, because I actually have lived Ariel's life, very sadly. I just went through the Ariel / Snow White portion of my life. Hated it. I prefer my Esmeralda / Mulan story. At least I know what to do. This other stuff, I didn't know it was this horrible. Like, my gosh, I have a new respect for Ariel. Like, your story is horrible, hun. What the heck is this? But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, because this is actually a lot longer than I meant to make it. But I feel like with the topic, it was probably gonna be long anyway. But yes, I'll go ahead and talk to you guys later. Thank you for tuning in, and bye!